Hello everybody, it's Marty McConnell, the off-grid gecko. Excuse my kitchen, it's always a mess. Not so much of a mess now because I kind of got things cleared off, but then clutter starts growing again. Anyways, today I'm going to be showing you how to cook rice. So the first thing, what kind of rice do you want? There are two basic categories of rice as far as I'm concerned. There is stuff for making sushi, which is usually little short grain stuff because it sticks together and it wads up. That's not the stuff you want to use for this. This is actually like a type of pilaf. So what you want is a long grain rice like basmati. In fact, if you don't have basmati rice, you're wrong. When it comes to measuring, I'm not really a measuring fanatic. So I've got a little tuna can here, and I'm going to cook 2 tuna cans full of dry rice. So now we have a rice in a pot. So step 2 is to wash the rice, and you might call this rinsing the rice if you like. It's the easiest thing in the world. Let me find a spoon. Wink. Off-grid gecko spoon. All you have to do is add water. It's super simple. I'm going to try and give you a close-up here a little bit. Oh my god, I can't move the thing. Alright, so you start off with just water, and it's kind of clear, and then you just sort of push the rice around in there. You can also shake it. What you're doing is you are loosening up whenever it comes from the mill, you've got this extra starches like floating around in here. And the easiest way to remove them is to soak them in water, and you see how it's turning kind of like a milky color. You're basically going to keep rinsing this until it stops running milky. If you wanted a different method, you could put this in like a really fine sieve colander and just keep running water over it until the water's running clear. That works too. Alright, that's pretty clear. So now we've got strained rice. You don't have to worry about getting every last drop out. It's not that big of a deal. And now we go over to our little cooktop here. Or you can do this on the wood stove if you like. Sometimes that's a thing. And I'm going to put this on medium heat. I'm actually going to crank it up just a little bit starting off to have it warm up faster. And now I'm going to add oil. So for my oil of choice is sunflower oil. Virgin sunflower oil, I guess in this case, doesn't really matter. I do not recommend using olive oil for this, not because I have anything against olive oil. I got my little bottle right here. But you're going to be sort of frying up the rice kernels. So I call it toasting. You're going to toast the rice. So using an oil with a high smoke point like canola oil, this stuff, I guess you could use peanut oil if you really wanted some extra calories. Pick your poison. Again, I use sunflower oil because that's what I use on like 90% of everything that I do. And you should put that in there. Measurement, I don't know, tablespoon or 2. You want enough that it's going to soak into the rice. So if you notice the bottom of the pot getting dry, you need to add a little more oil. And then we're going to heat that all up, and we're going to start toasting the rice. So while that's heating up, put that back over there, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some stuff to put in here. So the oil, not only, in addition to like kind of toasting and frying the rice, is also going to soak up whatever ingredients you put in here. So if you plan on using broth for this recipe, which I highly recommend because that's the right way to do it, then you don't need to add a bouillon cube. I'm going to add a bouillon cube because I'm not using broth, and I like to break it up during this stage of the process rather than waiting until I get all the water in there. So what you do want to put in here, definitely, is some kind of allium. So garlic, onions, leeks, whatever your favorite allium is, whatever you've got laying around the house, like some kind of allium is just good for everything, and it's part of the standard way of doing this. So, or or I guess the classical Indian way, you want to add some spice to it. Just chop this guy up really finely. Little paper thin sheets of garlic. Just drop the little boogers right in there. And when stuff starts sizzling, then I know it's time to back the heat down. I'm also going to put a little cayenne pepper in there. So I have me a little dried cayenne pepper here. From my own garden, in case you're wondering. Yes, I actually got something out of the garden. Not as much as people that are better at gardening than I am, but it's something. I got a lot of garlic. I'm going to put my cayenne in there. There we go. And I also like to add a little paprika. I kind of got palsy mood today, so it ends up being a lot of paprika. Some sea salt. And I'm a big fan of salt, so I like a lot of it. Sea salt I usually get for the crunch, so adding it at this stage is kind of counterintuitive. You can always add it after you cook the rice, of course. I'm lazy, so I'm going to start turning this over. Alright, so we got our rice, and it's cooking, and this it imparts like a sort of a popcorny type flavor on the rice, makes it a little bit more nutty and more better, and these kernels are going to soak up a lot of this oil, so you will see the rice actually swell up a little bit even though you haven't started steaming it yet. And that's what you want, because the more oil that's in there, the better they're going to be at not sticking to each other. And I just keep the heat on and keep stirring until it gets a little toasted. Oh my god, I forgot my favorite spice. I forgot the sumac. Shame on me. Shame, shame. Add a lot of that for some lemony goodness. There we go. Okay, so step whatever, add your broth. So in this case, I've already got my bouillon cube in there. It's all broken up, so I'm just going to add water. Now when it comes to water, you don't have to get carried away. You don't have to use a freaking measuring cup. Just add enough that the rice is thoroughly covered. I think I've got, let's see here, I've got about ½ an inch over the top of the rice. Maybe a little less than that. I'm going to go ahead and run my spoon along the bottom just in case anybody's stuck and get them unstuck. And then I'm going to go ahead and run my heat back up and get this sucker to start bubbling. While that's going on, this is what I cover the rice with. So this is a regular lid for a pot lid. And I've got it wrapped with a towel, and that's going to keep the steam from escaping all the way. So while it's steaming the rice, basically it reduces the chance that you're going to over steam it and start burning it. So that towel saves your butt every time. Alright, I guess that's close enough. I put in a little more water than I normally do this time. So normally I just do a little 1/4 inch, like that much over the top of the rice. Taking a little longer, doesn't really matter. But this will make it a little more, the more water you put in there, like the more it can fluff up, but it's a point of diminishing returns after about ½ an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat down back to medium. Cover it with our little pot holder. And we'll let that guy go. And when you stop hearing bubbling and churning, and all you hear is the hissing, then that basically means it's done, because this guy's going to start simmering now that it's got that top on it. There's still a little rumbling in there. Leave it alone. Alright, I may have let that run a little long because I got distracted by something over there. But for those of you keeping timers, it's been about 15 minutes, and looky, riceys. So turn off the heat, and all you get is the little simmery, the little hissing noise of steam still being in there, but all the water is out of the bottom. It's all bubbled off. Now to the Persian side of my family and friends, who are like, what about the tahdig? Okay, well, if you want to, you can go ahead and dump this out, put some potatoes down in the bottom, put it back in, and just set it back on the same burner if you have an electric cooktop. And just leave it in there with the top open. It'll make your little crunchy rice in the bottom, which I'm going to let it do anyways, but I'm kind of hungry, so I'm just going to eat it. And it's really hot, will burn your mouth, but I don't care because it's delicious. And look, see how it just falls apart? It doesn't really, I mean, it kind of sticks a little bit because it's wet, but once it dries off, it just falls apart, and it's great. It's terrific. It's not all stuck together and crazy sauce. It's plumped up real good. That's how you make rice.